Number 10. Mark Wahlberg. In 2013, a series of leaked court documents suggested that Tom Cruise had compared working on a film to being as intense as fighting in Afghanistan. It's safe to say that this statement did not go down well with Mark Wahlberg. Later down the line, while he was promoting his film Lone Survivor, which was based on actual events of the failed 2005 mission Operation Red Wings, where Mark played the role of a Navy SEAL. When asked about the difficulty of shooting the film, he went on an angry rant. Quote, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the floor. I don't give an F what you did. You don't do what these guys did. For somebody to sit there and say, my job was as difficult as somebody in the military's, how effing dare you, while you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours. He added that at the end of the day, actors get to go home, go to their hotel room and order effing chicken. Tom's lawyers then jumped in very quickly and claimed that the actor was only joking, and in fact is a staunch supporter of the troops. But the tension was very clearly real. Number 9. Thandie Newton. When speaking with Vulture, Newton revealed exactly why working with Tom Cruise on the 2000 film Mission Impossible was a total nightmare. When asked why she never filmed another movie in the franchise, the actress said, "Oh, I was never asked. I was so scared of Tom. He was a very dominant individual. He tries super hard to be a nice person." She described him as really stressed and dominant, recounting an incident on set in which she and Cruise attempted to finish a night scene on the balcony. Quote, "I don't think it was a very well written scene. I get angry with him, we're frustrated at each other, and Tom made a decision at the very beginning of the movie, unbeknownst certainly to me, that he didn't speak English, which I think was very helpful to him, but it was extremely unhelpful to the rest of us." Thandie went on to say that Tom got so frustrated with her performance that it just pushed her further into a place of terror and insecurity. But despite everything, Thandie insisted that she doesn't think poorly of Tom as a person. Quote, "He wasn't horrible, it was just that he was really stressed. But the pressure, he takes on a lot. I think he has this sense that only he can do everything as best as it can be done." Number 8. Brooke Shields. Telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to make yourself extremely unpopular among the female demographic, but telling them how to give birth is a different kind of insult entirely. Just ask Brooke Shields after she had to deal with public shaming from Tom Cruise, who went on the record criticizing her decision to use antidepressants to help her with postpartum depression. Quote, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There is nothing that can cure them whatsoever." And if that wasn't condescending enough for you, he added, "I care about Brooke Shields because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look at where her career has gone." But Brooke was not having it and took the opportunity to stand up for herself and new mothers everywhere. She said, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." Adding that, "I'm going to take a wild guess and say that Mr. Cruise has never suffered from postpartum depression." She called his comments a disservice to mothers everywhere and said that if any good can come of Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rants, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease. Number 7. Brad Pitt. Although the two A-list actors have a lot in common, especially when it comes to their careers, they allegedly couldn't be more at odds with each other. In fact, rumors have it that they have been feuding for 25 years, and it all started with one movie, 1994's Interview with a Vampire. The hit horror film where both actors had starring roles really ignited their resentment for one another. And even though the film was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe upon its release, Brad said that he was miserable on set and that Tom being there certainly didn't help. And when asked about his co-star in an interview, Brad did not bother to hold back his feelings at all. Quote, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming when I started really resenting him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always coming at you with a handshake whereas I may bump into you. There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation." Fast forward to 2009, when both actors were starring in World War II dramas, Brad in Inglourious Basterds and Tom in Valkyrie. Not only was Brad's film way better received, but to add insult to injury, he reportedly called Tom's film a ridiculous movie. Number 6. Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. But at the time of meeting, he was still married to Mimi Rogers. Tom eventually divorced his first wife in February February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting up a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "I was so young when I got married. I look back now and I'm like, what?" She told Red Magazine that she felt isolated during her marriage, and even when she won an Oscar, she described it as, "I was holding a gold statue and I was the loneliest I'd ever been." The divorce took Nicole by surprise, and it got very messy very quickly with the custody battle. In the end, Tom allegedly turned her children against her, as he was granted full custody of their kids, and ended up raising both of them to be Scientologists. But despite all the heartbreak, nothing beats that iconic photo of Nicole leaving her attorney's office, jumping for joy after their divorce was finalized. Number 5. Alec Baldwin. Another celebrity who has had no trouble calling out Tom Cruise was fellow actor Alec Baldwin in 2009. The Dirty Rock star hosted Elle Magazine's Women in Hollywood dinner and award show, and what he said had even Tom's wife at the time, Katie Holmes, laughing along with everyone. The actor joked about coming up with a solution to the disproportionate salaries between men and women in Hollywood, and then seemingly came up with an idea to solve the pay gap. Quote, "I believe we can balance the scales if Tom Cruise would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be a little bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put all of this on one man, but if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise." He went on to assure the audience that his own salary was nothing compared to Tom's. In fact, his annual salary, as he said, is the budget from mints that were featured in one of his movies. But as the saying goes, there really is a grain of truth in every joke. According to Variety, the actor is expected to earn $100 million or more from his new movie Top Gun Maverick, which would be one of the biggest paydays for an actor for a single movie ever. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker, much to the disdain of Tom Cruise. In her book, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that she and her husband, JLo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion, when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities including Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek and pressured everyone to join in. Remini also explained another bizarre incident when Tom had a meltdown over cookies. Quote, "Once he wanted to make cookies, and there was a package of pre-packaged cookie dough on the counter. He asked, 'Guys, where's the cookie stuff?' Tom seemed like a child who had never been told no, and he screamed at his assistant." And when Top Gun Maverick came out, Remini cautioned fans about supporting him, saying, "Don't let the movie star charm fool you. And no, I will not watch the movie, nor will I ever support or approve of this scam of a man." So she's clearly not one to forgive or forget. Number 3. Katie Holmes. Back in 2012, the former Hollywood power couple Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes announced to the world that they were getting a divorce after 6 years of marriage. News of the A-list split sent shockwaves through the world of show business and sparked waves of rumors and speculation as to why the pair decided to call it quits. After a whirlwind romance, the couple got married in a luxurious Italian wedding ceremony and welcomed their first child together, Suri Cruz. So their divorce came as a shock to everyone. The major reason was allegedly Katie's aversion to raising their daughter in Scientology. Tom basically confirmed this during a 2013 deposition, admitting that this was one of the reasons that his ex-wife filed for divorce. He also revealed that his daughter, Suri, who was just 7 years old at the time, was no longer a practicing member of the Church of Scientology. This was a pretty surprising admission, considering that those who leave the religion are often cut off from other practicing members, which is probably why Katie won sole custody of Suri, which reportedly included ironclad rulings that she would not be exposed to anything Scientology related. And to this day, it appears as though the former couple aren't exactly on good terms, as Tom reportedly hasn't even seen his daughter in years. Number 2. Mickey Rourke. In a new interview with Piers Morgan Uncensored, the boxer turned actor was asked about Tom Cruise, and he made it quite clear that he wasn't a fan at all. It was mentioned that his new movie, Top Gun: Maverick, made over $1 billion at the box office, and Rourke said, "That doesn't mean jack to me. This guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years. I got no respect for that." Rourke went on to list some of the actors whose careers he does enjoy and admire, unlike Tom's. And when Morgan asked whether or not he thinks of Cruise as a good actor, Rourke just said, "I think he's irrelevant in my world." And back in 2005, when Tom criticized Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants, Mickey spoke out against him then. Quote, "My therapist saved my effing life and my career. I don't care what Tom Cruise says about therapy. F him." Picking on poor Brooke Shields. People need medicine and they need therapists. Let the Scientologists go effing live on a planet of their own. He was referring to the fact that Scientologists strictly oppose psychiatry and therapy as it goes against their core beliefs. So he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't think very highly of the Hollywood star. And coming in at number 1, John Travolta. Both are active, high-ranking members of the Church of Scientology, but it has been since revealed that the two are not exactly friends. The truth came out when a former bodyguard from the church, Brendan Teague, revealed in 2018 that John Travolta was furious when Tom achieved the highest honor in the organization in 2008. He was awarded the Freedom Medal of Valor from the leader of the organization, David Miscavige. This award is only given to its most dedicated member. John was also said to be frustrated over the fact that Tom has become a major player in the church, and to this day is one of the best known members in the world. Brendan Teague claimed that this event left Travolta feeling extremely jealous. Eventually he grew so angry that he decided to express himself and wrote a scathing letter to Miscavige, which reportedly included the question, "What the hell was this medal all about?" The reason being is that the actor believed himself to be the most dedicated member of the church, and had allegedly introduced more members than any other celebrity. So when he was passed over for the award, John began to despise Tom. It didn't help that only 2 years earlier, John wasn't invited to Tom's wedding with Katie Holmes, so their relationship was already rocky to begin with.
First up, of course, we have Mariah Carey. Even if you're not familiar with many of JLo's feuds, I'm sure you know that Mariah Carey hates her. That's because Mariah has not been shy about throwing shade in her direction. These two have been feuding ever since JLo started to make music, and started to steal her shine. Then when Mariah was asked about Lopez in an interview, she famously replied, quote, "I don't know her." Years later, when Andy Cohen brought up the beef on his show Watch What Happens Live in 2014, Jennifer Lopez played the whole thing off, saying, quote, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day, I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we have never met. Like, we don't know each other. I would love to meet her, and I would love to be friends with her." But then JLo was a little more savage on the Wendy Williams show when asked about the feud in 2016. Lopez said, quote, "She's forgetful, I guess. We've met so many times." But Carey doubled down in another interview where she added that she still doesn't know Jennifer Lopez. When Mariah had a mishap of her own during a disastrous New Year's Eve performance, Lopez took a break from the high road and liked an extremely shady tweet about Mariah. The tweet said, quote, "Ever seen an accident you couldn't take your eyes away from? That was her tonight." If you're wondering where this feud started, it all goes back to Mariah's ex-husband and music executive, Tommy Mottola. After getting married in 1993, Carey divorced Mottola in 1998 because he was very controlling. And to get back at her, Mottola started up JLo's career and did everything possible to make JLo a star, instead of Mariah. JLo sampled a number of Mariah-esque songs. There were even allegations she straight up copied some of Mariah's songs, but tried to make them more of a hit. All because of Mottola. But Mariah knows she still came out on top, adding, quote, "After all that shit, Loverboy ended up being the best-selling single of 2001 in the United States." So basically the whole feud is over career competition and the fact that Lopez was in cahoots with Carey's controlling ex. Rosie Perez. You'd think that JLo and Rosie Perez would be great friends, considering how much they have in common. Both women are dancers, are Puerto Rican, and grew up in New York. But the pair are not close, and it would be more accurate to say that they actually hate each other. According to Perez's 2014 memoir, Handbook for an Unpredictable Life, she has plenty of negative stories to share about JLo. In her memoir, Perez shared a story from the set of In Living Color. She wrote about Lopez, quote, "All of the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me, all to her advantage," and added she was acting like, quote, "some ghetto bitch, screaming and pounding her chest." JLo ended up leaving that show after 2 seasons, but the feud between the pair continued, and Perez claimed that Lopez would speak negatively about her whenever she got the chance. Even worse, Lopez was allegedly two-faced. She would talk trash behind Perez's back, but be nice to her face. Brandy. In the midst of the Mariah and JLo feud, Brandy publicly supported Mariah, making it clear she does not like JLo. In July of 2017, Brandy took to Instagram to share a photo of herself hugging Mariah Carey with the caption, #SheKnows.me, an obvious reference to Mariah's infamous "I don't know her" comment about JLo. All the comments were flooded with people speculating over the caption, and the consensus quickly became that the photo was a dig at JLo. However, Brandy later addressed the caption, writing, quote, "Oh my god, what happened? I swear to goodness, I didn't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and now everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny. Can't take this one down. I love this picture and whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable, you know that I am." Later adding that Mariah does in fact know her. Mariah supported the post by commenting, quote, "I sure do." Even though Brandy is trying to convince us it's nothing shady, I honestly don't believe it. Next up, Nicki Minaj. It's long been rumored that Jennifer Lopez is a huge diva, and the fight that her and Nicki Minaj had while on American Idol brought up both of their diva sides. In 2012, Lopez was a judge on American Idol while Nicki came on to perform, and things got tense fast. After Nicki finished performing, she went over to the judges table and asked, quote, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be a guest judge. JLo, can you scoot over a little bit?" JLo then responded, quote, "I don't know if there's enough room for both of us." Then Minaj took it up another notch backstage when she said, quote, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it." But she later added, quote, "We were just joking around." But it's clear the bad blood is still there. When Lopez performed at the 2015 AMAs, she sang a part of Minaj's song Anaconda. But I don't think Nicki got the memo that it was going to be happening, because when the camera panned to Nicki, she did not look happy. Fans totally saw the shade and started tweeting about it that night. Rihanna and JLo started feuding right around the time that JLo was seen getting cozy with Rihanna's ex, Drake. This all happened in 2016 when JLo and Drake took a photo backstage at JLo's concert. Once the photos came out, everyone assumed that they were dating, which probably got the attention of his exes. A lot of fans felt the whole thing was most likely a publicity stunt, but Rihanna took the rumors pretty seriously and lashed out online because of it. A source said at the time that Rihanna suffered, quote, "the ultimate betrayal," and dubbed Lopez desperate and a traitor. This was because Rihanna and JLo were really tight at one point, and Rihanna even got support from JLo during rough times with Drake. Then in December of 2016, Rihanna unfollowed JLo on Instagram, making her stance very clear. Jenna Dewan. When the pair started alongside each other on World of Dance, they seemed like they got along great. Lopez was a producer and a judge, while Dewan was a host and mentor on the show. But sources revealed that when the camera stopped rolling, the women hated each other. One source said about their relationship, quote, "Jenna can't stand Jen's over-the-top theatrical fakery. Jen never fails to ham it up when the cameras are rolling, and she hijacks the show. It seems she'd prefer if Jenna just stayed in the background." The insider continued that JLo is a micromanager who tells everyone else what to do. Because of all her input, Jenna felt excluded and felt like her voice was not heard. Although there is a chance that this feud is not accurate, because when Dewan's team was asked about the feud rumors, they denied them. Ojani Noah. Jennifer Lopez has been married 3 times before. Her first and shortest marriage was to Cuban waiter Ojani Noah. Although their relationship ended in 1998, it's clear that Noah cannot stand her, and whenever asked about Lopez, he does not hold back his negative feelings. Back in 2006, he was actually set to release a juicy tell-all book about Lopez called The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. But before it was set to be published, Lopez was able to stop it with a lawsuit. She argued that publishing the book broke their confidentiality agreement, and the courts agreed. From that lawsuit, she won $545,000 in damages, and Noah was forbid from criticizing or casting in a negative light or otherwise disparaging Lopez. Noah's name was brought up once again when he threatened to leak an intimate tape of the two of them on their honeymoon. Lopez then filed a $10 million lawsuit against him. When asked why the relationship ended, Noah blamed Lopez, saying, quote, "I was looking forward to being with her for the rest of my life. It didn't happen. She made the choice of her career instead of me." And finally, Jennifer Lopez herself. Nobody has done more to warn us about JLo's sketchy behavior than herself, and some of the things she's done in the past are too terrible to ignore. Back when she tried to score a role in competition with actress Claire Danes, JLo said some harsh things about her competition, saying that Claire Danes does the quote, "same thing with every character she does." Then Lopez bashed Winona Ryder, saying that she was not a big fan of her work. And finally, Lopez took aim at Gwyneth Paltrow, saying, quote, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Then in a different interview, Lopez decided to take aim at Madonna, specifically bashing Madonna's attempt at acting. Quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." Aside from dishing out unnecessary shade to other celebrities, Lopez also has a reputation for being incredibly rude to service people. One United Airlines employee told the press how much of a diva she was during her flight. Apparently he asked if she wanted a drink, and she replied, quote, "I just said, what can I get you to drink?" But Jennifer refused to even acknowledge me. She turned her head away and told her personal assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime." Even though the stewardess was trying to serve her what she wanted, she refused to look. It made her assistant speak for her. It's so ridiculous and an unnecessary power play. But this interaction is nothing compared to the maid that was fired for asking JLo for an autograph. The maid later spoke with media and said she asked JLo's 2 assistants, who rejected the autograph. Then a day later, the hotel said that Lopez complained about the incident, and that maid was fired. First up, of course, we have Chris Rock. The person who has shown the world the true dynamic of the Smith family is definitely Chris Rock. After Will smacked Chris on stage at the Oscars, the world got to see a different side of Will, and it was shocking. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some dig at the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm sure you know what happens next. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head, because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore had a shaved head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and that's why she shaved her head that night. Immediately after the joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the broadcast, and slap Chris Rock in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will then walked back to his seat and yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. After the slap, Rock looked completely stunned, having no idea what to do or say. It looked like he was about to clap back and say another harsh joke about Will or his family, but Rock took the high road and decided to stay calm. The internet was set ablaze by the slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering the aftermath, it was clearly real. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. After this event, many are accusing Jada of wearing the pants in their relationship and manipulating Will to do her dirty work for her. There's a chance that he was simply defending his wife, but many believe that Will knew that if he didn't do something to avenge her honor in that moment, Will would have been in trouble. Even though the event was said to be the biggest night of Will Smith's life, which definitely it was, just not in the way that he wanted. Next up, August Alsina. After the infamous Oscars slap, old reports that Jada had cheated on Will in the past resurfaced. The pair have spoken about how they are in an open marriage, so we are not sure if it was really cheating or not, but Jada admitted she was in a quote entanglement with rapper August Alsina during a break with her husband. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation and pushed Jada to confirm that she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, she did not apologize or even seem remorseful. She instead deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Alsina had been introduced to Jada by her son Jaden at a London music festival in 2015. Insiders stated that August became like a member of their family, even going on vacations with them and staying in their mansion. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and he claimed that Smith had actually given his blessing to have an affair with his wife, an allegation that Jada has denied. Will also reported that he had affairs with other women during this time. He was rumored to have slept with co-star Margot Robbie. Many believe that Will's insane reaction to the joke is proof that he is in a toxic relationship with his wife, because he completely embarrassed himself on the biggest night of his life, all because of a bad joke. Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. And without August coming forward, we would have never known about their strange relationship. Margot Robbie. Jada most likely hates actress Margot Robbie because it was rumored that Margot and Will had an affair while they were filming the movie Focus. But that's not all. Jada has also admitted that she has a bias against white women with blonde hair, which we assume attributed to this dislike. In 2018, Jada made headlines when she admitted on Red Table Talk that she has a racial bias, specifically admitting that she has a problem with blonde white women, saying on the episode, quote, "I do have my own biases, specifically with blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me, and I've had to catch myself." Pinkett Smith even admitted that she's second-guessed doing interviews with blonde women in the past because they remind her of the type of kids who used to tease her in school. But Jada has worked hard to fix this bias and even admitted that white women still do face oppression based on their gender, making it easier to relate to them. Next up, Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield-Jones, dished on Access, quote, "I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." Jada added that Will was div, but the orst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she was pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. Scientology connections. After the Chris Rock incident, some started connecting the dots between the bizarre slap and Scientology. This is because the Smiths have been tied to Scientology in the past, and physical punishment is a popular teaching in the church. Apparently, it's a common teaching in Scientology to use slaps and other forms of physical force to show other Scientologists that they've done something wrong. After the slap, one user tweeted, quote, "There's a Scientology course, I guess you'd call it, that involves slapping or physically humiliating fellow Scientologists in a group setting as a means of exerting superiority. It's remarkably common within the cult." The user even shared that Tom Cruise is known to use similar styles of punishment, but instead of hitting, he uses shouting to intimidate movie crews. Although the Smiths have denied being involved with Scientology, the connection is pretty hard to deny. The couple were apparently introduced to the church by none other than Tom Cruise back in 2004. They got so involved with it that the Smith family spent almost $1 million in 2008 to set up a school for the church. The Smiths said they designed the curriculum in the school, but insiders claimed it was based on Scientology. Both Jaden and Willow attended, but the school closed 6 years later when most of the parents removed their children. Tony Ortega, an expert in Scientology, said that the Smiths left Scientology in 2015 and that Will at least only ever dabbled in it. However, he says that Jada was a full-fledged member and apparently everyone knows it. Next up, William Hendricks. The Oscars was the first time that many Will Smith fans saw him get violent. But to people like William Hendricks, his hot temper is well known. In 1989, Smith spent a night in jail after he hurt a man named William Hendricks so badly that Hendricks almost lost his sight. Even more coincidental, this incident happened days after Will won his first Grammy. I guess he likes to get into altercations around award season. The charges were later dropped against Will. Will Smith was 20 years old at the time, and after getting in a verbal argument with the producer, decided to make things physical. As per a police report, Smith asked his bodyguard, Charles Alston, to quote attack record promoter William Hendricks, who needed 6 stitches after he fractured his left eye orbit during the altercation. Next up, Sony executives. One of the strangest things about the Smith family is the couple's relationship to their children. The Smiths have been open that they don't use punishment when dealing with their kids, and they pretty much let them do whatever they want. But this parenting style may have backfired, because it's common talk in the industry that Willow and Jaden are entitled brats that nobody wants to work with. Because of their parents, the kids have auditioned for many big roles in the past, but only Jaden has landed roles alongside his father. It was exposed that Sony executives have exchanged emails saying not to allow the Smith kids in their movies. As a response to this, Will shrugged and noted how, quote, everyone disses his kids. Some of this might stem from the differences between Will and Jada and how much fame they want their kids to have. Sources say that Will wants to push his kids to fame much more than Jada wants to, leading to a clear difference in parenting. Considering Will admits to being responsible for their kids' erratic behavior, it's not far-fetched to think that there's a clear difference in what both parents want for their children.
Starting off this countdown, we have the tabloids. According to a number of big news tabloids, Millie Bobby Brown has actually changed a lot because of her success with Stranger Things. There's a side of her that we don't get to see, but they do when conducting interviews. One source revealed, and I quote, Brown was cool, aloof, and downright rude during promotional events for season 3 of Stranger Things. So much so that her publicist had to give her a little lesson in how to deal with media and fans. Well then, that's pretty awkward. Coming in at number 9, we have David Harbour. The bond that Millie's character Eleven and David Harbour's character Jim Hopper have on screen is incredibly beautiful. They are very close and share a deep love for each other. It's safe to say that in the show, they both saved each other in different ways. But outside of the set, the relationship is different. They both still love and care for each other, but David is very concerned about Millie. He's afraid that the fame and public attention will get to her head. In a podcast, David said, and I quote, I have a real worry. I worry about her and the fame and all that she has to struggle with. David revealed this around the same time that Millie was facing a number of scandals, which we will be talking about next. In our 8th spot, we have Hunter Echo. Now, this is one of the scandals that I was talking about, and it's probably her biggest one. In July of 2021, during a live stream, Hunter Echo drunkenly admitted that he groomed Millie and that he did acts with her. Millie was 16 at the time, Hunter was 20. The age of consent is 18, but Hunter argued that everything was consensual and Millie's mom and dad knew everything. He even said that he lived in her house for 8 months. Still, the relationship was very inappropriate. And later, Millie's team said that they are taking action against Hunter and his claims as they were dishonest. Either way, Hunter had some nasty things to say about Millie. In the end, he got himself in big trouble instead of exposing Millie. In our 7th spot today, we have Drake. Now, this is another pretty weird controversy that Millie was involved in. It all started when it was revealed that Drake and her were pretty close and that they were frequently texting each other, which is weird because of their age difference. Like, Drake's in his 30s texting a teenager. And fans pointed out that Drake met one of his exes when she was a teenager and then later dated when she was of age. Anyways, according to Drake, Millie has a lot of boy trouble that he helps her with. Even Millie admitted in an interview that Drake helps her with her boy drama. When asked about what kind of boy drama, she said that it stays in the text messages. In our 6th spot, we have the stardom. Another tabloid revealed that Millie is having a hard time handling her stardom. They said, and I quote, "Millie has turned into a rude star and is unable to handle the stardom on her own." There are multiple videos of her interviews where people declare that Millie never leaves a chance to be in the spotlight and always interrupts her co-actors, which shows that she is being selfish and arrogant. End quote. Now, we will be talking about these interviews later on, but it is true. Whenever the Stranger Things cast does have an interview, Millie always takes the lead, preventing her co-stars to get a word in. And when they do talk, she often cuts them off and takes over the conversation, leaving them pretty annoyed. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with her behavior. According to some sources, Millie has already become a diva. Apparently, Millie's attitude was fine during Stranger Things season 1, but as soon as she got all the attention, her attitude changed. She started trying to behave more adult-like for the press, and a lot of people aren't here for it. In fact, she has been called cringy for it. It also makes it hard on set if she thinks she's top tier and the best. In fact, some people have labeled her as one of the most annoying actresses. Coming in at number 4, we have Jacob Sartorius. The two dated in 2017 for a few months. Millie said that when they broke up that it was mutual, but it seems like Jacob was pretty hurt over their breakup. In fact, he apparently wrote a number of songs about Millie, including the song "We're Not Friends," and the lyrics definitely call her out. Some lyrics go as so: "You're bad at seeing signals, girl. I've never introduced you to a single girl. And everything I do around you is on purpose, putting in the work for ya, hoping that it's working. I spent about a year just playing my part. I'm picking up the pieces to your broken heart." He also goes on to sing, "Girl, I wanna give you more than good advice." Yikes. Jacob? Yikes. Who knew Jacob had it in him? Coming in at number 3, we have Sadie Sink. Now, according to Millie Bobby Brown, Sadie Sink is one of her closest friends. However, there have been a number of incidences between the two that make us think that Sadie isn't the fondest of Millie. First off, let's take a look at this clip from an interview with the Stranger Things cast.
Because, I mean, it was fun, but like, because Sadie got to see how like crazy I am when I'm 11. Like, I'm just like, you know, always really like deep in thought, and so like working together for the first time was like really fun.
I feel so sorry for her. Like, look at how walled up and awkward she gets when Millie cuts her off. And if you watch other interviews, she continually does this with Sadie, and Sadie's face says it all. In our 2nd spot today, we have Caleb. Now, during the same interview, Caleb, who plays Lucas Sinclair on Stranger Things, I guess noticed that Sadie wasn't talking and kind of shied off. So he kind of called out Millie and asked Sadie if she wanted to say anything.
Sadie, do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
You guys set it off.
Had he not said anything, Millie would have just continued to talk the whole interview without letting Sadie get a word in. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Caleb Part 2. During the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, Sadie, Caleb, and Millie went on stage to accept the award for Stranger Things. And well, take a look at how that went.
And obviously you guys.
Millie literally couldn't wait her turn and prevented Caleb from saying anything, after which he kind of just gives a look like, really? Really, Millie? And it was captured all on live TV. Also, Millie doesn't even turn to apologize or anything. I don't even think she realized that he tripped in the back.
Starting off our countdown is Miley Cyrus. She has talked about her Disney experience on more than one occasion, revealing the struggles she faced after taking on the epic role of Hannah Montana. Throughout her career, Miley has shared that she struggled with an eating disorder as a young girl and that she felt wearing makeup and a wig every day was the definition of what it meant to be a pop star. It was difficult for her to really find herself as Miley because the world knew her as Hannah Montana. Her mom is still her manager to this day, and she also admitted that Disney was not always the best to work for. She said she started understanding how many people were taking advantage of her young daughter and revealed that Miley was grossly, her quote, underpaid. It even came to light that Miley didn't even own her name during that time. Since her character outside of Hannah Montana was actually Miley Stewart on the show, they actually had rights to her name, Miley. Many reasons led up to her decision to quit in 2010, and even though she had a tough experience as a kid, she recently said she would totally do a reboot. But maybe now it's different because she's an adult. She can handle the Disney network. Coming up next, number 9 is Joe Jonas. He was just one of the brothers from the boy band The Jonas Brothers, but he took on the lead role in the Disney movies Camp Rock. In recent years, Joe wrote a piece for Vulture which highlighted his time at Disney. In the piece, he revealed that he and his brothers always had to sugarcoat their music and lives to maintain their innocent Disney persona. He said their lyrics actually had to be reviewed and approved by the Disney team, and if anything was too sexual or provoking, then they were told to change it. That was actually one of the main reasons that they decided to quit. He also said that Disney controlled their creativity too much and he started to feel like one of their puppets. For any young child star wanting a music career outside of Disney, this would have been a good warning for them. Outside of the personality image that they had to maintain, he also hated the fact that he had to shave every single day to play a role that was much younger than he was in real life. That would suck as a man. Moving on to number 8, we have Hilary Duff. There have been a lot of conflicting stories about what exactly led to her decision to leave Disney and her lead role as Lizzie McGuire. But fans got some kind of confirmation back in 2003 when her mom did an interview with Entertainment Weekly and claimed it had to do with her paycheck. Susan Duff claimed that Disney was trying to bully her daughter into accepting whatever offer they wanted to make for a sequel to the Lizzie McGuire movie. Her mom said that Hilary ended up walking away from the sequel, but then Disney walked away from the whole franchise. Hilary also spoke about it and said that it really had an effect on her mental health, which is why she chose to bow out for a while. She said, "I was just making records and touring and making movies and then doing it all over again. By the end of it, I was like, I'm done. I don't enjoy this anymore. I'm not who I want to be." So I guess Disney is not paying their stars enough is what I am starting to realize. Sliding into spot number 7 is Selena Gomez. The Wizards of Waverly Place star left her Disney days behind and had no problem explaining to her fans why. It was a pretty simple explanation and was the classic case of feeling the pressure to live up to that innocent Disney image. She told the New York Times, "I was being held to this expectation of being the good girl. I knew deep down that this wasn't what I wanted to do, being exhausted of forcing something that wasn't right." According to Refinery29, she decided to break away from Disney and actually signed a new contract with Interscope instead. At that point, she allegedly let go of her mother acting as her manager and also had split up with her then boyfriend, Justin Bieber. This was a very big moment in her career, and that is when she released her album, Revival. Once the album was out, she admitted it was the first time that she could breathe and no longer felt like she had to maintain the Disney guidelines. No one really realized just how bad her time with Disney was, and fans were shocked to hear her admit that it actually made her depressed and put her in a really low spot in her life. Rolling into number 6 is Dylan and Cole Sprouse. The twins took over the Disney Channel with their hit show The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and then The Sweet Life on Deck. From the outside looking in, it seemed like they had the world in their hands. But they suddenly left the Disney network behind, and fans were shocked to learn their show would not continue. The boys have opened up about what happened and said they tried to pitch a spin-off idea to the Disney team, but they shut it down. Dylan explained and said, "When we had pitched our idea, it was kind of the situation where they had almost laughed in our faces." He then said Disney came back to them a year later with an idea that was essentially the same thing as their original pitch. That is when he said he and his brother Cole basically laughed in their face and walked out. That was the last meeting they ever had with Disney, and despite having years-long relationship with them, things ended up leaving on a very icy note. They have no problem warning others that Disney might steal your ideas, so keep them to yourself. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Rowan Blanchard. She gained a massive fan base from her time on the newer Disney show Girl Meets World. Fans were crushed when the series was cancelled after their ratings dropped. Forbes reported that the show lost around 3.6 million viewers between season 1 and season 3. But the one thing that people always loved was Rowan and the fact that she prompted the idea of intersectional feminism. Despite her young age, she rallied for the Me Too movement and openly discussed her sexuality. She made a conscious decision back in 2017 to part ways with Disney following the cancellation of the show. She did an interview with W Magazine and said she left because she felt controlled by them. But she didn't exactly say the name Disney Network, probably to protect herself, but people could piece it together. She said, "I worked for a corporation for 4 years that is known for silencing and crafting your voice. So with that, I just had to very much stand my ground and separate myself, which I think I did." She now says that she loves that she's not recognized anymore for her Disney character, but she's now recognized for her activism. In spot number 4 is Raven-Symoné. Fans were devastated when Raven left Disney for a while after her TV series That's So Raven became a massive success. But she shocked everyone when she signed on to do a spin-off of the original show called Raven's Home at 33 years old. Fans really didn't believe that she would work with Disney ever again, thinking that there was bad blood between them, but turns out there wasn't. Kind of. She did admit to feeling the pressure of having to try and fit the mold of Raven from the show, and not who she was in real life, which is also Raven. When she came out in 2016, she revealed that Disney was always very accepting of her and her sexuality, but that people involved in the network weren't. She explained that during the last season of That's So Raven, she wore jeans and a vest and tie, and one of the members went up to her mom and said, "She looks too much like a lesbian. Can you tell her to put on a skirt and makeup? Because then they'll accept her and come to her concert." As we know from other examples on this list, fitting the Disney look can add a lot of pressure to someone, especially someone who felt like they couldn't really express who they really were. Luckily, Disney has been more supportive and inclusive with the LGBTQ community since her original show. Taking over number 3, we have Shia LaBeouf. If you followed his career, you would see that he is definitely one to experiment with new projects and avenues. But there was a route he refused to go down when he was working with Disney on the classic show Even Stevens. He did an interview with MTV and said that he stopped working with Disney because they were very controlling over where his career was headed. Turns out they wanted him to start a music career. When looking at Disney, most of their stars started out with acting and then went into singing as their career grew. Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Hilary Duff, to name a few. Even Raven-Symoné. During his interview with MTV, he said, "I never came out with a music thing, even though Disney will push you that way." He went on to say that he always felt out of place at Disney and never felt like he truly belonged. Can you guys just imagine, like, Shia LaBeouf as a singer? Oh, what a world. Taking over the number 2 spot is Demi Lovato. The singer has always been open about her struggles with mental illness and addiction, but that was not always the case. She wasn't very transparent back in her Disney days when she starred on Sunny with a Chance and Camp Rock. In more recent interviews, she has revealed that she struggled with bulimia after getting bullied for her weight while working on Disney. She said she was performing concerts on an empty stomach and started self-medicating for her depression. The pressures of her Disney career quickly caught up to her, which might be why she was so angry in 2012 when Disney Channel made a joke in one of their scripts about eating disorders. Demi lashed out at them on Twitter and tweeted, "I find it really funny how a company can lose one of their actresses from the pressures of an eating disorder and yet still make jokes about that very disease." They responded immediately and said that they were removing both episodes that included the jokes and said it was never their intention to make light of eating disorders. In our number 1 spot,
spot is Bella Thorne. This story of Bella has become famous ever since she shared it with her fans. She found fame as a young child on the Disney TV series Shake It Up, but it was cancelled in 2013 despite being the #1 series in 2 demographics. People thought she was going to stay with Disney and move on to her next project, but it seemed like she was fed up with taking orders from them. After leaving the network, Bella revealed that one time they threatened to fire her after she posted a photo of herself wearing a black bikini. They ended up telling her mom that they cannot afford to fire her at that point, but if she does anything like that again, they will. The worst part about the whole thing was that Bella's mom was the one who bought her that bikini. Once this story came to surface, Bella opened up more about her Disney experience and said she was forced to talk with a higher voice so that she would appeal to Disney's demographic. Even off the show, like during interviews and press, she was asked to change her tone. For anyone who does not follow Bella, she naturally has a deeper voice. Long story short, Bella stopped tolerating the demands and went on to pursue a very different career. She's now acting full-time, putting out music, and is also running an OnlyFans company. No lie.
Starting off at number 7, we have a New York City hostess. Back when exposing rich celebrities was trending online, TikTok user Julia Carolan took the opportunity to share her experiences with celebrities that she met when she was a host at a fancy New York City restaurant. One of those rich celebrities was none other than Alec Baldwin. When talking about her, she said, quote, "This is gonna be controversial. I've met her a handful of times, and every time she was not nice. I really want to like her, but I have to give her like a 3.5 out of 10. Sorry." And even though Haley was not the only rude celebrity mentioned, Haley decided to apologize to the user by writing in the comments of that video, quote, "Just came across this video and wanted to say I'm so sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude. That's not ever my intention. Hate hearing that was your experience with me, but glad you called me out so I can do better. Hopefully we'll meet again so I can apologize in person." And then Caroline responded thanking her for being accountable and taking the time to apologize. And for this one, she might have exposed that Haley is maybe a little two-faced, maybe a little rude, but because Haley apologized, I think we can all safely say that, you know, she's learned and grown and changed, and I think we can accept that apology. And at number 6, paparazzi. One group of people that absolutely hates Alec Baldwin is the paparazzi, as he has assaulted numerous paparazzi on a few occasions. The first and most famous went down in October of 1995 when a photographer was waiting outside of his home to get a glimpse of their newborn daughter. Baldwin started by spraying shaving cream on the paparazzi's windows, then a scuffle started, and Baldwin punched him right in the nose, while Alec denies this and says that he just slapped the camera out of his hand. Baldwin was later acquitted of misdemeanor battery charges in the case and won an invasion of privacy suit against Zanger, though Zanger won a civil case against Baldwin for damages that cost the actor $4,500. The next run-in was in June of 2012, and the paparazzi said about Baldwin, quote, "He comes after me, starts shoving and punching me, one time right in the chin." But Baldwin denied this and said that he was accosted by the paparazzi. Alec later said in a tweet the paparazzi should be, quote, "waterboarded." Yikes. So clearly, a lot of tension between those two groups. And at number 5, Dr. Daniel Barrett. A plastic surgeon who has gone viral from his videos talking about celebrity plastic surgeries got in some major hot water after he made a video about Hailey Bieber. In the viral TikTok, he compared pictures of Hailey then versus now, and pointed out what he thought was different about her face. Saying, quote, "Pay special attention to the nose. What do you think? Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's physically impossible without getting a little bit of help from someone like myself to go from this picture to that picture." Adding that he thinks she had a rhinoplasty as well as jawline contouring, skin tightening, lip filler, and a chin implant. And apparently the Biebers are so threatened by this man's opinion that both Justin and Hailey threatened to sue him for the video. The couple accused the doctor of using Hailey's likeness, making claims about her, and using, quote, "copyright protected lyrics from Justin's song Sorry in the caption." And the fact that he's trying to sue for a caption, like, that's a lot, Justin. Come on. The couples reportedly sent him a cease and desist letter regarding his video, but because he did nothing wrong, it's not been taken down. Hailey somewhat responded to this on Instagram, where she claimed a lot of after photos are edited by the makeup artist, and she doesn't actually look like that. Either way, suing him is ridiculous. And at number 4, Harvey Levin. Even though I'm sure Harvey Levin doesn't have a vendetta against Alec Baldwin or the family in general, he owns gossip site TMZ, who's known for breaking tons of terrible stories about Alec. It was TMZ that exposed him for using the F-word slur, and it started the hate train against the star, even though the allegation turned out to be false. TMZ also leaked the voice memo that Alec left to his daughter Ireland, where he called her tons of horrible names, including a thoughtless little pig, which not only hurt Alec's reputation, but made his daughter Ireland even more hurt and embarrassed than she was before. And at number 3, Alec Baldwin himself. With the amount of insane scandals that Alec Baldwin has been in, I think it's safe to say that he gave us all the warning that we really needed. One incident was when he punched a random guy in the face after they got into a heated fight over a parking spot. Baldwin said that he had a family member holding the spot for him, but then the guy pulled into it. Baldwin and the man started arguing, and then Baldwin decided to sucker punch him right in the face. The next incident was when he was removed off a flight in 2011 because he refused to stop playing a game called Words with Friends on his phone. With Baldwin tweeting out after, quote, "Flight attendant on American reamed me out for playing Words with Friends while we sat at the gate not moving. Hashtag no wonder American Air is bankrupt." Then in another incident, he reamed out the police because they were going to ticket him for riding his bike the wrong way down the street. But he was so difficult they ended up arresting him, causing him to rant that, quote, "New York officials are simply, quote, desperate for revenue and anxious to criminalize behavior once thought benign." And at number 2, Ireland Baldwin. So this is one you should see coming. But Alec has such a bad temper that his own daughter felt his wrath on a long voicemail message he angrily left when she didn't pick up the phone. Back in 2007, the voice message was leaked online, and people got to hear the awful things Alec said to his 11-year-old daughter at the time. With him saying in the call that she was, quote, "a rude, thoughtless little pig." That needed to be, quote, "straightened out," and she humiliated him for the last time, with things being extra heated because him and his wife Kim Basinger were in a heated custody battle at the time. At the time, he apologized in a statement saying, quote, "I'm sorry as everyone who knows me is aware for losing my temper with my child. I have been driven to the edge by parental alienation for many years now. You have to go through this to understand, although I hope you never do. I'm sorry for what happened." Thankfully, Ireland can now joke about it with her saying that it was turned into a bigger deal than it actually was, but I'm sure that definitely hurt a little bit to receive that. In at number 1, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf got into such a bad feud with Alec Baldwin that he allegedly quit a play right before it was scheduled to premiere. The play was called Orphans, and at the time Shia said he quit due to, quote, "creative differences," but later it was revealed that his co-star Alec Baldwin might have been the real reason. He took to Twitter and showed an email that was seemingly sent to Alec, where Shia said that men should behave a certain way, adding, quote, "Alec, I'm sorry for my part of a disagreeable situation." Then there was a screenshot of another email from the play's director where he says he should have listened to Shia earlier. But then Shia posted an email exchange between him and Baldwin where Baldwin said, quote, "I don't have an unkind word to say about you," which is definitely something you say to someone that you don't like very much in my experience. In at number 10, Nick Lachey. Nick Lachey also exposed Kim for being a little too friendly with the paparazzi in order to get some publicity from him. The singer claims that Kim might have only been dating him for publicity. Apparently the pair only dated for about a week and some shady stuff went down. One time he said, let's just say this, "We went to a movie, no one followed us there. Somehow, mysteriously, when we left, there were 30 photographers waiting outside." And I think from that story, it's very clear that Kim was tipping off the paparazzi, so there would be photos of them together. And if you didn't already know, unless someone is like incredibly famous, if there are paparazzi when they are out, they definitely tipped off that paparazzi. And at number 9, Jon Hamm. The Mad Men star definitely has some choice words for the Kardashians, and based off what he said, it's clear he does not like the family and doesn't approve of how they rose to fame. With him telling LUK, whether it's Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian or whoever, stupidity is certainly celebrated. Being an idiot is a valuable commodity in this culture because you're rewarded significantly. It's celebrated. It doesn't make sense to me. So clearly he doesn't like the reality TV stars whatsoever and doesn't like how our society praises socialites like Paris Hilton and the Kardashians. And like, I kinda get where he's going. Like, you know, he has some valid points. In at number 8, Kristin Cavallari. Kristin Cavallari has a very interesting relationship with the Jenner clan. It all started when Kristin dated Brody Jenner, and through that relationship she also became friends with the Kardashians. But after Brody and Kristin broke up, there was tension between Kristin and Kourtney Kardashian. After Kourtney caught Scott out with Kristin while they were in an off period. And after that, Kristin called out the family for using that information as a publicity stunt to get viewers to their show. And allegedly after rumors broke that Kristin and Scott were having an affair, the Kardashians refused to deny it and instead waited to address it on their show, leaving Kristin looking like, you know, the bad, terrible other woman when it just wasn't even true. More than a little shady if you ask me. And at number 7, Barack Obama. Former President Barack Obama also couldn't hold his tongue when talking about the famous family. And it's definitely quite the compliment when the president is speaking about you. Or is it? The former president was talking about the changing dynamics of the American dream and how it's shifting with time, saying, "There was not that window into the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Kids weren't monitoring every day what Kim Kardashian was wearing or where Kanye West was going on vacation, and thinking that somehow was the mark of success." And ouch, here it's pretty obvious he was throwing some major shade their way. And he doesn't seem to like how they are now the standard for what success is. And apparently Kanye West did not like those comments and actually fired back at the president. But also, since Obama was a former president, I trust his opinion and judgment way more than Kanye's. And at number 6, Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries was someone who probably challenged the Kardashian family the most and exposed secrets about them I'm sure they did not want out. Kim and Kris got married in one of the most lavish televised ceremonies ever, but famously, after only 72 days, the couple split because Kim was having second thoughts. But based off how much content their reality shows got because of that relationship, then the breakup, Kris called Kim out for fraud, arguing that the whole relationship was just a publicity stunt. And their divorce was so messy it lasted 2 whole years before it was finalized. But during the massive trial, Kris exposed that a lot of the Kardashian show was scripted, and that the show purposefully made him look bad. Like when him and Scott threw a party in one episode while the girls were out of town, and they looked really horrible for going behind their backs when they told them not to have the party. The whole thing was actually just a huge sham, with Kim and Kourtney knowing about the party and acting like they didn't know for TV, in turn making Kris look like a terrible husband when it literally wasn't like that at all. Halfway at number 5, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson revealed on a radio show that she was presented an opportunity to present an award with Kendall and Kylie Jenner, but Wilson ended up turning it down, with her saying in the interview, "I got asked to present with Kendall and Kylie at the recent VMAs and said no. It's not that you hate any of them individually, but it's just that everything they stand for is against everything I stand for, and they're not famous for talent. I've worked really hard to get where I've gotten to." And even though a lot of people who dislike the Kardashians share the same sentiments, Oprah Winfrey actually came to their defense against Wilson, if you can believe it, with Oprah saying that she couldn't believe how hard the family works, referencing when she filmed the family for Oprah's show, with crews taping the family for 7 hours straight, and then they filmed more of their reality show after. So, as we all know, the Kardashian family really works very hard, even though it doesn't seem like they do too much. And at number 4, Bette Midler. After Kim uploaded her incredibly famous nude selfie where she covered her, nether regions with just like black bars, the internet went ablaze talking about it. One of the people that didn't hold their tongue was Bette Midler, who tweeted out, "Kim Kardashian tweeted a nude selfie today. If Kim wants us to see a part of her we've never seen, she's gonna have to swallow the camera." Which, come on, you have to admit, it's pretty hilarious. Like, even if you like the Kardashians, it's a good tweet. As a clapback, Kim tweeted out that it was past Bette's bedtime and that she was a fake friend. And Bette responded back, "Looks like anyone can take a selfie, but not everyone can take a joke." And then she lightened the tension by posting her own nude. When talking about the feud later, Bette had no hard feelings and said she takes Twitter pretty lightly and hoping that Kim did the same. Hopefully Kim wasn't actually too peeved about that. I mean, come on, it was clearly a joke. I don't know. And at number 3, Wendy Williams. If you watch Wendy's show, which I definitely do on occasion, she spills the tea like nobody else, then you know she does not like the Kardashians and is always very blunt when talking about them. But Wendy got the spot of a Kardashian hater when she made some shady comments about Kim after her robbery incident. And when talking about the incident in Paris, Wendy said, "I would hope that she's not making any part of this up for dramatic effect. Because this family, they're kind of soulless. You can't believe everything that you hear." But this was very, very upsetting. And although I do not agree with Wendy at all that the Paris incident was a publicity stunt, a lot of people did feel that the incident could have been exaggerated by the family for views, with people citing numerous times in the past that this has happened with the family. And again, I do not agree, but she just brought it up as kind of a possibility, and obviously, she loves to shade them whenever she can. And at number 2, Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna is another Kardashian ex who was ousted from the family after her and Rob's relationship ended. And you know that whatever went down was bad, because the family is still nice to Tristan and not Chyna, even though Tristan is arguably way worse and embarrassed them so much more. The first of the feud was surrounding the fact that Kylie started dating Tyga, who was Chyna's ex. Then Chyna started dating Rob. And then the two got engaged and then pregnant very quickly. But after they had Dream, the whole thing fell apart and Chyna and the Kardashians were facing off on social media. Chyna even filed a lawsuit against the family, claiming that they stopped her show Rob and Chyna from getting a second season. A judge dismissed that case, but Chyna still shades the Kardashians whenever she can. And at number 1, Anna Wintour. This last one is something that I had no idea existed, but it's probably the shadiest one of all. So Vogue is one of the most prestigious magazines to be on the cover of, and Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were put on the cover in a very controversial move by the magazine's editor, Anna Wintour. When talking about the criticism, she noted that it would be a misstep to ignore the couple's influence, and she made the choice to lead and deal with the backlash rather than follow. And all of that praise to the couple is, all well and good, until she gives them quite a backhanded compliment, saying, "I think if we just remain deeply tasteful and just put deeply tasteful people on the cover, it would be a rather boring magazine. Nobody would talk about us." And although I totally get what she's trying to say, calling the couple, deeply untasteful is definitely more than a little shady. But I mean, if anyone can shade anyone, it's Anna Wintour. She can shade whoever she wants.